We are live, Gary. Yay! Episode 2 on
Three.
Is it episode 3? Yes, the second live that we've done, but episode 3 on YouTube. How are you, my lovely? You've had a lovely holiday, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I've just literally came back to my house last night, and I have been in the most glorious place in my own country. I went to West Wales. The furthest I've been into Wales was just to go to Cardiff Airport once a long, long time ago. And we decided to not go abroad for a holiday. We were going to stick and do a staycation, stay in our own country. Yeah. And it was absolutely fabulous.
Well, I'm in my garden, so I feel like I'm kind of on holiday today. I feel like I'm in the south of France a little bit. I haven't got my tea today. Of course, if anybody is a regular viewer of our tea time tutorials, would know that we have tea, but it's a bit hot today here. So I've got a glass of water, but at least it is liquid. But you've got your tea, you've got your builder's tea as usual.
I've got my builder's tea, Rachel, as per usual. I always like the colour, this nice strong colour like this.
So now, before we start our little exercise, I just want to say hello to everybody who is watching us live today or who watches this at a later point. If you are watching us, please, you know what we're going to say, hit the subscribe button and the little bell, because that will tell you when we are live. But every Friday, we will be going live with our tea time tutorials. We say tea time, not that it's tea time in the UK in terms of like afternoon tea or dinner, but in terms of a cup of tea. So the time will change, but if you hit the bell, then you will know when we are going live. It will tell you on your phone. Now, if you want to make any comments today on YouTube, please do. And then we will be able to have a look at those. But you have to have a Gmail account, apparently, if you want to make comments. But just watch and enjoy, because what we're going to do is a lovely little art mindful exercise, which is very nice. And we always do a bit of mindfulness at the beginning. And I usually give Gary a phrase. I haven't got a phrase today, but I did hear something the other day, which you can do right now. Everybody can do. There's 5 ways to ground yourself. So, if you're feeling a little bit stressed, a little bit anxious, or, a bit overwhelmed, there are, when we say 5 ways, there are actually 5 sort of things that you have to go through. And by the time you've gone through them all, then you will feel a lot better. So I was just going to run you through those, Gary, and maybe you could add some in if you wanted to as well.
Yeah. Perfect.
So first of all, the first thing to do is to take yourself outside. That's one. So take yourself outside. It might be raining, put your umbrella up, but take yourself outside into nature. Stand on the grass. So get yourself in a position, or stand on your pavement or wherever. And then you have to do 5 things first of all. And those 5 things are: see 5 things and focus on them. Now, obviously, if you're in nature and in a lovely area, this might be a little bit better. So you could focus on a beautiful tree. You could look at, the grass that is in front of you. You could look at a leaf. You could see a butterfly. But 5 things that you can see, that makes your brain. I mean, if you are having a panic attack, it's good to try and get your brain to refocus on something else. So focus on 5 things that you can see. The next thing is 4 things that you can hear. Now, first you might think, well, what can you hear when you're outside? All sorts of things. I've just heard a truck. I'm hearing the gardener, who's actually my husband, doing the garden. I can hear a bird. There are other birds. I can hear them. Yeah, there are leaves that I can hear just whistling. And I've actually got a water feature. So easily find 4 things to listen to. The next thing is 3 things that you can touch in your surroundings. So feel that leaf. Feel that grass underneath you, or feel the tree. They do say hug a tree, don't they? Hug a tree, but it is about, nature and grounding yourself. And then 2 things, you have to just have thoughts about a couple of things in your area. So how does the sky make you feel today? Or how does the feel of that grass make you feel? Does it take you back to a childhood memory? Does it, that kind of thing. So once again, we're grounding ourselves really back into reality. And then the final thing is be grateful for something that you have just experienced. So whether that is something that you have touched or felt or thought or seen or heard, think about that one thing and give gratitude for that one thing. That is your grounding exercise for the day, Gary.
I have to say, when I was listening to you there, I think a lot of them is actually switching on your senses. You know, that is a mindful practice. I think what you said was amazing. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there you are. We have grounded
Brilliant.
ourselves for the day. We are now ready to do our lovely little mindful exercise. So if anybody has not watched one of these before, what happens is that Gary, who is our creative guru in terms of he does a bit of everything, he then teaches me to do something, because I run Crafty Monkeys, which is a company where, you know, we have these amazing online classes. I host them. I make sure everything runs smoothly. I bring people in and And then Gary was like, well, why aren't you doing some of these things? So I said, well, let's start a weekly series where I do some of those things. So sometimes it will be sewing. Sometimes we'll be talking about tools of the trade. And other times we will be doing things like this, mindful art. I'm very excited about this one.
Yeah.
And we do try and do it with things that, you know, you're not having to go out and buy a sewing machine. You know, you're just going out and using the basic essentials. So Gary told me to bring paper, easy peasy, pen, and then Gary said bring some paints, or he said, you actually said, didn't you, like a cream blusher or a lipstick. So I've got all these little pots of these blushes. I'm doing an advert here for Crinny's makeup, but look, all these little pots. So I'm going to use these, and I will keep holding up my piece to show you what I'm doing, but we can of course focus on what Gary is doing.
Right, Rachel. Now, imagine that you just want to, you know, you might be, this is going to be holiday based. So it could be, it's a rainy day. You thought, oh, I was going to go out, but I can't. So I've got to waste a little bit of time. You might be at a train station, an airport, on a coach, and you're just a bit bored and want something to do. If you've got a scrap of paper in your bag, you've got a pen, you've either got, like you say, you've got your makeup, or you might be like me, you might have a little palette of paints here as well. And you've got something to make your finger wet. It might be a little bottle of water. It might be something like that. But because you've got a cream blush, you probably won't have to make it wet as well. So that's fine. You need something to draw a straight line. So we're going to do straight lines first of all. I'm going to show you two examples of what you can do. Don't worry if you haven't got your handy ruler with you. What you might have is maybe I'll tell you what, you might have the side of your mobile phone. You can just draw to the side of that, just so you can draw a line.
Okay, I've got a match here.
And don't get sort of too worried about that it's a straight line. You could just draw it freehand anyway, so that's fine. So you just take a piece of paper. I'll explain why I've got a bundle of papers here later. Once we finish the exercise, I can talk about other things you can do. But really, just any little piece of paper. It could be some paper out of your printer. It might be something torn from the back of your like your journal or your address book or something like that. I tend to like to do this project just doing, this is called landscape. So there's two different ways of having a paper. You can have it portrait. Imagine drawing a portrait, so it's that way, or you have it landscape. So this is landscape, just makes life easier. With your biro or your pen, what you're going to do is you're just going to draw, maybe, I'm just going to say, draw sort of halfway up the page. We're going to draw two straight lines like that, and we might just put another straight line down here as well, so we might just do 3 straight lines like that. 1, 2, 3. Don't have to be equally spaced apart.
Okay.
How have you done? You get on all right?
Yeah, hang on, I'm doing it. I was just checking because we've got some people watching. I was seeing if there were any comments. No comments yet. I think they're just probably getting into it now, going along with us. Say hello if you're in the chat. Do say hello. We'd love to have you here. Right. Okay.
Go.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to use my paint palette like this, but there are different types of paint palettes you can get, but you're going to use your makeup because that's what you've got on you at the time. So I'm going to just damp my finger. You don't have to, if it's like a cream blush or something, you don't have to. You could like just lick your finger if you want to. And I'm just going to take up just take up a color. So I've not even got a brush with me or anything like that. This could be your blush or anything like that.
I didn't have paint, by the way, but I thought it would be interesting. You know, for anybody who's just watching today and is not artistic or doesn't have anything, I thought it was interesting for them because, I mean, not saying guys might have their makeup or they might, but you know,
they might.
They might.
Yes, exactly. They might. So I'm going to what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little mark there, and I might do a little mark down there, sort of quite spaced apart like that. I'm going to clean my finger because I can see myself getting quite stained fingers.
I know, you know, I've just realised that I've got anything to clean my fingers with, but never mind.
Right. Okay, you need to shout to your assistant in the background, Pirate Pete. Pirate Pete, have you got Have you got? Right, so I'm going to just do another colour. So I'm going to do a blue one or whatever. So if you've got another colour, you can do another one. We'll just do a few. We're not going to do loads. And I'm going to do 2 together like that, a blue and a red one. And then I might do one. I think I'm going to put a little blue mark over there just to make that a little bit more blue. You see that? Okay. You could use as many colours as you want, but you just got to get the idea of what you're going to do. I'm going to put the paints to one side. I would just sort of like, it's a lovely warm day. You can blow in it till it's dry. So it's nice and dry if it's wet, but if it's like your blusher, it's probably going to be okay anyway. So now what you've got to imagine, these are birds on a telephone wires or on the electric. So they're now going to become little birds. So now you spend your time turning them into little birds. So they might have like, I'm going to have to put my glasses on for this. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see. So I might just do a little beak. So a little beak in the middle, so a little V, and I might just do 2 little eyes. So I might do them all with little beaks while I'm in the mood for beaks at the moment. So I'm just going to do little beaks, like that. So they've all got little V's for beaks and 2 little eyes. And then you can put the little character into them. So this one might have a little tuft on the top. So that's just a few little lines on there. And this one might have little wings on the side here, like that.
Okay.
This one here, he might have some tail feathers. He might just put a few little feathers. So he's sitting on the side there.
Shaky tail feathers.
Shaky tail feathers. And again, this one, he might actually be sitting with his bottom on there. And so we can just draw some little feet. So they are playful little characters that you can create on just some telephone wires. If you're starting to feel really arty and you want to do something else, you might not want to do telephone wires and little birds on the telephone wire, but it can take up a lot of time. And it's something like if you've got kids with you and they're playing up and they're crying or we're bored, we're hot or anything like that, say, right, let's all draw, let's all see what lovely, colourful birds we can do on there. So you could, I just think it works really well with finger painting, just doing little fingers. And of course, you can add more and more, and all the birds can be clustered onto these lines here. But you can use makeup and a biro from your handbag. Another thing you could do is you could actually just draw a tree shape. So you could just draw a tree with branches like that, but just go off like that. And then, whoops, let's have one in the middle. And again, then you can do exactly the same process, and then you can put your birds in the tree, and you can cluster them together. So then you can start doing that. So it's hours of fun. You can do different variations of what you're doing. You can, like I say, it's quite nice to put little pairs together, and then again, then you start decorating that. So that is my little mindful practice. Now, how have you got on, Rachel? I've never seen you doing the artwork. I've never got you to do any. This is so simple. It's easy. It's good for everybody, this one.
I love it. Do you know what? I'm giving these little birds personalities as well.
Hey. Oh, I can hear you got your little bird in the background tweeting.
And they're appreciating it. I tell you what, they're appreciating it. Are you ready? Here we are.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Brilliant, Rachel.
Yes, I've done all sorts of little different hairstyles. I love it.
So really easy and it just for fun, it makes you laugh. It might be, like I say, you've got people with you, like you're all looking bored. If you haven't got a pack of cards, which quite often you haven't got a pack of cards in your bag when you need something to entertain, just say, right, let's just see what we can create with a few lines and a bit of this colour.
Yeah, and you could, I've been through the child rearing process. She doesn't need anything now at the restaurants because she's 17. But when they are 3, if you just take a bit of paper with you and you've got your lipstick in your bag and a pen, that's all they need. In fact, you wouldn't even have to take paper. You could ask the restaurant for a pen, right? Because you could, now often we get the paper menus that they throw in the bin, don't they? Or you could ask for a napkin. So you just get a napkin, you get your lipstick out of your bag, and you say to your child, look, here, use that, put your finger on the end, and little things, and make these birds. Or if you're, like I say, if you're on a train or anything, because Absolutely. It's really good fun. Love it.
This exercise does draw me into to really talking about, if you are a creative person or you do creative practice, what do you take away with you if you are going on a holiday? So I've just been on a holiday, and I said to you that I would show sort of what I sort of thing that I would take with me. So we'll keep the hands on the desk. I'll just show you what I do take away with me, because I'm not going to, you want to travel light. You don't want a whole big like toolbox or anything like that. And you just want to keep it really, really simple. So for myself, I've got two things. I am either going to be doing some sewing, or I might be doing some painting or some artwork or some drawing. Sometimes I combine them together, as you know, because I love mixed media and I love to like bring it all together. But okay, let's talk about sewing first of all, because I know a lot of our viewers love to do a little bit of sewing.
Yeah.
So I usually always take a few of my needles and a small pair of scissors, obvious. What we need to think about, if you're flying, what you're allowed to take on the actual plane in the hold, and is probably not going to be sharp scissors, but you're probably allowed to have a one needle and maybe a little bit of thread and some fabric if you want to do a little bit of embroidery. And I know there are things out there that you can use, and it'd be nice if some of our viewers came and made comments under this video to tell us what they take and what they can have as the safety if they're going to go on a plane.
Yeah.
Any other sort of transport's fine. So if you're on a coach or you're on a train, it's fine to have your embroidery scissors with you. I don't take loads of thread, but I might just take an ordinary, this is very fine, just sewing thread, a black and a white one. They usually do me in good stead. I might take a few embroidery threads if I want to add some colour, but not lots. I think sometimes if you took everything, it gives you too much options. Narrow your options down and then so you'll sort of like stick into one sort of colourway. And then you can then just see what you can create just by a very limited amount of threads and maybe bits of fabric. When we come to bits of fabric, this is my, and I don't know if anyone's seen my fabric journals before. So this one's my my memory book. So let's open it up the right way. So with my memory book, I just have scraps that I've pre-cut together, and I just have scraps of fabric that I can do doodles and little bits of embroidery on. So bits of embroidery, it could be anything that I've done, and I just then stitch them into my journal. So this is something that can be done. So remember, it's like a book, really. It's just like a book that you just take with you and you just do anything you want to. Remember, we also got my doodle journal. So you could do a whole doodle of just stitches, just little stitches. You might have a little thing on your phone that shows you different ways of doing stitches. Well, bring that up on the phone and then practice. This is on a little bit of felt, so I've just put a felt page into this one. I've done some little drawings like this. I've done this one was we just took a square and we just stitched through the square in different ways, just straight running stitches like that. So easy. So that is my sort of fabric version of a little sketchbook. But they're all, if you think about it, and one of my rules of thumb is just start off with loose pieces. If you start stitching the pages in first and then sewing into them, one, it becomes cumbersome and hard, and you need to be able to hold it and stitch, and then later on you can stitch them into the spine of your book. And I do exactly the same principle when I'm doing paper. So for instance, these pages, these little doodles that we've done, were from a block of paper. So they were just, my partner says to me, "Oh, Gary, what are you doing with that blooming clump of papers again with the bulldog clip?" I said, "You don't know how important that is, because I can use all these like different bits of paper, some of them from sketchbooks, some of them in old envelopes, some from journals, wrap in paper, and I just tear them into the squares. I just put a bulldog clip together, and then they're not, they're there held together. I then can doodle, I can draw, I can fold, I can cut, and then I put them into my journal. So then I put those into something like this. So then I've made the journal, I've covered it. So all of you that can sew and stuff like that, you can make yourself a nice cover. But if you don't sew, don't worry, you just this is an old book, and I've just used it as a little, like a journal, but I've stuck the bits and pieces in afterwards. So these are all from my little bundles of papers, and only later do I put them in the book. I don't put them in the book to start with. Then I have fun, then thinking, which bits am I going to put in the books? Which bits are going to stay out? Shall I fold them in? Shall I leave them in? Shall I decorate some of the pages? Shall I stain some of the pages? And I do that. So that is a whole little fun exercise to do on a vacation or holiday or somewhere away, especially if there's a lot of time, maybe there's time traveling, or there's time where you might be just in you know, sitting, admiring the view, and you want something to do just to absorb, to go with the flow of the time, you know, not to stress you out, but just to make you much even more relaxed than what you are on a holiday. So you don't need a lot of art materials with you to do that either. I have a little wrap. I've made myself a little wrap, but these could all just be in a tin. So it doesn't have to be in a little wrap and wrapped up. These could just be in a very simple tin. And what do I take with me? I take a biro. So I would have a biro like this. So I have a couple of biros, felt tips, black felt tips. I might have a pencil with me, but pencils, you know, I find with a pencil, the temptation is to rub the pencil out. And I'm very much into, once you've made the mark, you go with the mark. So yes, you can put a pencil in there if you want. What else? A couple of paintbrushes. So I've got different thicknesses. I've got a thick paintbrush, a thin paintbrush, and sort of a medium one. So for that, I've got my little, in here's my little paper scissors, so that tucks in there as well. I've got I quite like these. These are what we call this is what we call a Posca pen, but you can get different makes and varieties. But it's like white Tipex. It's a white pen, so you can then splash and you can dot and you can mark in white pen. It's quite good for highlighting things. It just gives a really nice effect. So I usually put that in there, and things to cut, other things to cut with. So I've got this is just a retractable, like little sort of cutting blade. You could have one of those, or you could have one which is more like a little scalpel. And I just have a little scalpel. Make sure that you've got a cover on it, because there's nothing worse than the scalpel either going through what you've wrapped it up in, or stabbing yourself with that. So I always have a cover. If it doesn't come with a cover, a little bit of chalk from a white cork, not chalk, cork from a wine bottle over the end, and that would just keep the blade nice and safe. I've got a little mini, that's a little mini ruler, so I don't have to take a big ruler. So I've got a little mini ruler in there as well. I've also got the side of me, this is like a little paint palette, and I sometimes take that, nice little to mix colour in. I also found, and you find these in like craft shops and stuff, that's a mini cutting mat. So a little tiny mini cutting mat. So I've got a little mini cutting mat that I take with me also. I take a glue stick because I like to collage and I like to tear things. You could even use old bus tickets and museum tickets and things, or from brochures, and you could cut them out and stick them into your journal. What else have I? Paint. So you saw the paint palette I've got here. It's quite a sort of traditional palette, which is quite nice and not too big, so that can stick in your bag or wherever you're going. And it's got a nice little palette with that. But I quite like these stackable ones. So you can get these sort of stackable paints, and these are lovely. So they stack up. You can see I've used that quite a lot, and they've got a lovely variety of colours, and they're quite reasonable as well. You know, I think it was about £250, you know, maybe $3 or $4 for something like that. Quite nice to have in your bag as well. All sorts of things. And, you know, the thing is to actually, again, restrict it. Don't have too much with you. A little bit of colour, some brushes so you can just get some colour and make some marks. But also what you can do is, if you've got a pen that's like water soluble, you can make marks with a pen, and then just with a paintbrush and dipped into water, just go over those marks and it all smudges. It's lovely. It gives a lovely, lovely effect. So yeah, that's the sort of thing I have. There is more on my desk, but I just think let's keep it minimal. Let's keep to a little bit, just that really. That's it. That's what I'm going on. That's what I take on holiday. And also, mustn't forget the papers with my bulldog clip, even though you get the Mickey taken out of you. Fabulous. That's me for today.
Exactly. Well, we've given people some grounding, we've given them some basic art stuff, we've given them a little kit to take away with them, and hopefully we're giving people a nice little playtime as well. And as you say, go with the flow. It's just really important to have that playtime for yourself, and to just chill out. And if you are getting overwhelmed, just give yourself that 10-15 minutes to just do, like we said, a simple exercise like that. Gary, it's been a joy as always. Got to put all the makeup pots away now. It's been a joy. Look at my fingers. Oh no, that's not that bad. It's been a joy as always. So to everybody else who's been watching and who watches this at a later date, thank you very much for joining us. And if you would like to, by the way, make the Mindful Stitch book, head to the Crafty Monkeys website, because there is a class. If you go to our on-demand recordings, you can download or rent a class. It takes you through to a private area here on YouTube. And there's a lovely class where Gary takes you through the exact process of how to make a lovely book like that. So there's that. And there are other art classes as well that Gary has done for Crafty Monkeys, which are also on our site in the on-demand section. If you are really interested in what Gary has to do, if you go to the Crafty Monkeys website, go to the online shop, and there's a filter, and you put in Gary Mills, you get everything from the man. You've got patterns, you've got classes, you've got all sorts of things. So do have a look there if you would like to rent anything from us that Gary is teaching. So what we'll be doing next week, Gary, what should I bring with me next week? Do you know?
Right. Well, I think I might be sending you
I'm
another
like a newsreader. Look, I'm doing this with my papers now at the end of the broadcast. Yes.
Okay, Rachel, I'm going to send you another one of my envelopes, and we're going to cover hemming.
I love the envelope opening.
So I just I need you to have I'm sure you've got a needle, and actually you've got some black thread.
I have got black thread.
Good. So I'm going to just send you some stuff to do. We're going to do some hemming. I'm going to just do one very simple hemming, but I'm going to show you a couple of little tricks, and I want you to try and concentrate on your hemming. And this hem could be for interiors, it could be your curtains that you're hemming at your window, or you could be hemming your trousers or your skirt. So it's just a really simple way of hemming. But again, it's a way that I always use when I hem clothes. So I think it might be a nice little lesson for you and for any of the audience that want to just come in, join in. They might already know how to hem, but they might learn something new. So we're going to do that. So yeah,
excellent. I like that. And that's very different to what we've done today. So that is great.
Bit of sewing next week.
Do something different. Yeah. Fabulous. But look at you. I can't look at you anymore, Gary, because you're just too suntanned. And it's just upsetting. So I would like to say thank you to everybody who has watched today and joined us. Do look out with it in. If you look into the series on YouTube, you will see we've got these videos which are building up now in our tea time tutorials. It is its own series, but in our channel you will find blocks, so traditional quilting blocks. You will find projects to do. You will find some free classes that we ran on Zoom, how to make a little cheeky egg cover and all sorts of things. So please do have a good old rummage. We won't think you're rude through the channel. We do have a buy me a coffee link because we are sitting here for nothing on this Saturday, although we're having a lovely time. It is a tea time thing. If you want to buy us a tea, there is a link underneath if you would like to donate to the channel. But we love it, don't we, Gary? We love it, and we love spreading this, hopefully a bit of joy. A bit of joy to the world. It does you good. Right, I'm now going to end the live stream here on YouTube. So thank you very much to everybody who watched, and we will see you next week. Hit the notification bell, and then it'll tell you, oh, they're going live, and you'll know when. Okay, thank you, Gary, and thank you to everybody. Bye.